How is everybody? Happy Tuesday. I'm back. I have to admit, I'm really excited today. This is cool. I was off for 3 days of baking and I'm kind of excited to get back into it. So, good morning everybody. Hello Instagram. Hello Facebook. I hope everybody is off to a great day. It looks like it's starting to finally get a little bit warm outside, so I'm mega excited about that. Even pulling out some short sleeve shirts. It's kind of crazy. Anyway, we are making a strawberries and cream pound cake today, which is so good. And like, it's a little early in the season for strawberries, but this is such a great tender pound cake, a little bit different than your traditional pound cake. And so I've made this a handful of times and I love it. It's a little labor intensive, a little bit more than what you would do with regular pound cake, but it's so good and it looks so elegant. So I'm so excited to share this with you. So we'll give everybody just another couple minutes to get on and all that fun stuff. Hello, good morning everybody. If you're on, give a shout out so I know who's here. I'm just gonna kind of slowly start prepping this stuff, but yeah, so we're gonna have a yummy, yummy strawberries and cream pound cake. So I'm going to start putting my butter in. You need 2 sticks of butter. And 8 ounces of cream cheese. And you're gonna put that in and let that blend for a few minutes. So I'm just doing that while everybody else gets sorted and gets on and all that kind of stuff. And hope everybody is off to a good week. I know that things are kind of crazy out there right now, so I hope everybody is doing what they need to do and everybody's staying, you know, I've been saying stay healthy and stay safe, and I think we're now going to shift that to stay healthy and stay sane. So, but I think by now, hopefully people are starting to kind of get into a rhythm, whether or not they want to, but, you know, everybody's kind of accepting this a little bit, so that might hopefully help things. So anyway, so I am just, my cream cheese has been out for like an hour and a half or so, so I'm just kind of scraping this, and so I can get all the yummy cream cheese goodness in with my pound cake. And this is just going to add another element of a tender cake, the cream cheese. If you don't have cream cheese, you could just use butter. It's not gonna, I don't think, affect it too much. It's just gonna have a little bit different taste than what this recipe calls for. So, all right, cool. So I just put that in just to kind of kill some time while I'm waiting for other people to jump on. So once again, we're doing a strawberries and cream pound cake. And pound cake is one of those things that everybody kind of knows. I mean, obviously Sara Lee has like made millions of dollars off of their pound cake in the freezer, which actually is pretty good. But pound cake is like one of the original cakes that was ever created. It's kind of cool, and it got its name because literally they would add a pound of each ingredient. So a pound of sugar, a pound of butter, which is different in weight and amounts than what it sounds like. It's like a pound of butter is obviously like, you know, a brick of butter, and then a pound of sugar is going to be a little bit more. A pound of flour, and I believe a pound of eggs. So that's kind of how pound cake was started back in, like, I think it was the 19th century. And so literally it weighed more than a pound, but it was definitely like a heavy cake, rich, dense cake. And so then from there, the traditional way to make a pound cake is not necessarily to do a pound of it now, but it is to do like kind of the proportions and lighten it up a little bit. So that's kind of a little history of pound cake if you were wondering. So, okay, first things first, oven to, I'm getting better at this, I'm remembering a little bit ahead of time. Oven set to 325, and if you're using a convection oven, then you want it to be at 300. So this is going to be a longer cook, of a longer bake of a cake. It's going to be about 70 to 75 minutes. This takes a while because it is a dense cake, and so it takes a while. There's a lot of butter and cream and eggs and all that kind of stuff, so it just takes a while for it to come together. So it's going to make two loaves, so you want 2 loaf pans, which the best way to do this is to spray, which I've already sprayed the inside, and then take a little bit of parchment and put it over what you just sprayed, pound cake is really moist and dense, so it likes to hang out in the pan. So if you don't have parchment, you might want to put a little bit of flour in your pan just to kind of help, so that when you want to take out your cake, and then, you know, you can, it kind of slide out a little bit easier. Hey, Holly, do I eat everything I make? You know, it depends on the day. I usually at least sample it because I need to make sure that it tastes good. But I don't eat everything because it's kind of like when you're around stuff all the time, you just don't eat it. But doesn't mean I don't love it. I just don't eat it as often as one would think. So anyway, this is really loud. Sorry about that. Just trying to get it so that my parchment is going to lay in and drape over so that it's easier to remove the cake when it's baked. And it's kind of disagreeing with me right now. Okay. So you want something like that. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? But you're going to put the batter inside. And the other one, I'm actually just going to put a little flour in just to see what the difference is because, you know, why not? Okay, so then you want to make a strawberry sauce. So the reason why it's a strawberries and cream pound cake is because we are going to layer each a little bit of pound cake batter with pureed strawberries. So you want to take, I think the recipe called for a ½ pound, which roughly, I would eat it all. I know, trust me, sometimes I have to like step away from it. So I eat enough, but I need enough of everything. So, but you want to take about roughly 9 to 10 average size strawberries. If you have jumbo strawberries, then maybe 8. If you have smaller strawberries, you might need like 11 or 12. Or if you've just got a pound container of strawberries like they sell at the grocery store, just literally use half of what's in there. So that's a ½ of a pound. And then you want to puree your strawberries. So if you've got a blender, just throw it in the blender and just get a nice puree. You're going to add 3 tablespoons of sugar to your pureed strawberries. And then you're going to cook that over medium heat for a few minutes until it, basically till the sugar dissolves and it's kind of boiling a little bit and it's gotten a little syrupy. And then once that happens, you're going to take 2 tablespoons of water. I have 2 tablespoons of water here. And a tablespoon of cornstarch. And you're going to whisk those 2 together. Cornstarch is a thickener, right? And so what that's going to do is that's going to thicken your sauce. This is the point, like, that it kind of matters. So once your strawberry sauce is boiling and the sugar's dissolved and you've got kind of that syrupy look, you want to, after you've stirred the corn, this is called a slurry, by the way, like in culinary terms. You want to take your cornstarch water mix slurry so it looks like milk, okay? You can see that. It's not going to, you can't, okay. So it looks like milk, okay? The Instagrammers, looks like milk. You're going to pour that in and you want to let it bubble for at least a minute so that you cook out the starch flavor, okay? So I would show you, except that the stove is over here and that's kind of weird. So, but you want to boil your strawberry mix for a few minutes until the sugar dissolves. Then you want to add your slurry and kind of give it a good rigorous stir. Only let it cook for like a minute because it's not going to need much time. It's going to thicken up. You'll see as soon as you put it in there, it's going to start thickening. And then you want to let it cook out the starch flavor for about a minute. You don't need to do too much. And then it's ready. So I have made a batch already. So you can see, like, this is the one that I haven't cooked yet. And it's real thin and like kind of, you know, loose. That's a good word for it. This is the one that I've made and it's super thick. It's kind of like, basically it's like jam, okay, or preserves. So you can see it's real thick and kind of clumpy. This one I actually didn't puree the strawberries ahead of time. I actually used a potato masher because I wanted to see the difference. This is going to have more chunks of strawberries, which I kind of like that idea in the bread, than it just being like a a blended strawberry thing. So either way you want to do it is entirely up to you. It's a little bit more kind of, it's harder to blend the strawberries a little bit with a potato masher, but it gives you little bits of chunks. So, okay, I'm going to blend my butter and my cream cheese, which is 2 sticks of butter and 8 ounces of cream cheese. Hey, bro. Haha, you got up early. My brother's in California, so it's a little early where he is. So I'm just blending this until it comes together and gets creamy. Then I'm going to add 3 cups of sugar and a tablespoon of vanilla. So give this a minute. And I've got this on I've got this on a relatively high speed, so as I add my ingredients, I'm going to slow down this KitchenAid. Now you can use a hand mixer if that's what you've got. That's perfectly fine. Vanilla. Vanilla what? I don't know what you're asking. I'm making strawberries and cream pound cake. And I'm blending butter and cream cheese right now. Okay, so those have really come together, so I've actually just turned it off and add my 3 cups of sugar. And then a tablespoon, it's kind of close today, a tablespoon of vanilla. And then we're going to let that mix for about 2 to 3 minutes. And while that mixes, we can put together our flour mixture. So I kind of started on a slow speed just so things don't spill all over the place. And then I want to kick that speed up so that basically that sugar starts to dissolve and it starts getting airy and creamy, because that's what you want out of your pound cake, is to lighten it up and have a little bit of airiness to it, because it's already going to be obviously fairly dense. Okay, so now we are going to do 3½ cups. I have a knife, hold on. 3½ cups of flour. So I do my scoop and sweep method, right? Scoop and sweep, okay? Scoop and sweep. 3 and a half cups. Oh, and I also said I was going to flour this guy instead of parchment, just to see if it makes a tremendous difference. So I just pour a little bit in, and then I just kind of shake it around. Kind of go over, like I'm over the lid of the flour so that it can catch any extra. Okay. And then you can just dump the excess. So it looks like that, you can see. Okay, so then I also now need ½ teaspoon of salt and a ¼ teaspoon of baking powder. Where did I put my stuff? Here it is. Okay, ½ teaspoon of salt. And a ¼ teaspoon of baking powder. I like that method. I need to do that for coffee. Oh, scoop and sweep. Yeah, that helps to add, just like it basically levels everything in there. So, okay. All right. I'm going to give this kind of just a quick stir just to kind of incorporate that baking powder and salt into the flour so that when you put it into the batter, it's more evenly distributed throughout the batter so that your cake bakes up a little bit more evenly. Okay, so this is looking so luscious. I will show you because it looks so light and airy. So you can kind of see, hopefully it's a little bit of bad reflection here, but it's nice and airy. Lighter than like a cookie batter, or cookie dough, I guess. They're all the same really, but lighter than that, but thicker than a cake batter, like the traditional cake batter. So, okay, so now I'm gonna add my eggs one at a time. I have 6 eggs in here, and you just wanna add them one at a time so that they can kind of, again, incorporate into the batter and allow that air to come through. And good mixer, yeah, this is my sexy KitchenAid mixer. I love this thing. I got it as a wedding gift actually, so she's done me proud. Okay, so 1 egg at a time. It only takes, 10-15 seconds or so to let each egg get blended in here. And then add the others. So this is my 4th egg that I've added. And then now I'm going to add my 5th. I've got 1 more egg, so I like to kind of do stuff as everything happens just to kind of keep myself busy. What brand? It's a KitchenAid mixer. Like Nana's, only newer. Okay, so I'm going to pour in, I need a cup of cream. If you don't have cream, you can use milk. It'll be a little different in texture, but not so much that people are going to be like, oh, did you not use cream in this? That's not going to be that big of a deal. So last egg. So now it's starting to get to be that yellow golden pound cakey color that we all know and love. I'm going to scrape down the sides so I can kind of get all the stuff that hasn't been really incorporated with the eggs. You always want to kind of stop and scrape your mixer, even if you're using a hand mixer, because as it pushes it away, it's obviously going to kind of overlook some stuff along the sides. So okay, so I'm just going to let that mix like for another, I don't know, minute or so, just to get whatever I scraped around. And then I'm going to start alternating my flour with my cup of cream. Clean up as I go. You want to see my batter? So this is my batter. Now it's nice and yellow. Hang on, so I will show you. Okay, so it's nice. It's got that nice golden yellow color. Again, I think the lights in here kind of make that. It's hard to see. So, good morning, Jade. How are you this morning? Have you had your coffee yet? All right, so we are going to start adding in the flour. And so again, you want to do this in alternating flour and cream, ending with the flour. I have asked a lot of people about why that's the case, because you see that in a lot of recipes. And I get varying answers, but I guess that the biggest reason is you don't want to work your flour too much, right? Because that's going to activate the gluten and it's going to make it tough. So it's going to, doing it in small doses kind of helps not to have to overwork it. And also by adding more liquid, it allows that flour to absorb it and then allow for the structure to come in and do what it needs to do when it bakes. got distracted with menu planning. Yeah, you got a lot going on with that menu planning for two these days, right? It's probably what you got to do to keep yourself distracted. My friend is living on a boat in the Virgin Islands, and they're quarantined just like everybody else. So she and her husband are doing what they can to keep themselves entertained. So, okay, so you just want to add the flour. You want to add the flour and mix it just until it comes together, because again, you don't want to overwork that gluten. And I'm adding like a third at a time. And when it comes together, then I'm going to pour. What about when you use gluten-free flour? It doesn't matter. I mean, you're not going to overwork it as much, so you can stir it a little bit more. So I've got about half a cup left, so I'm just going to pour that all in. And cream gets a little thick in the glass, so I am just kind of scraping a little bit more out. Okay. And then I'm going to add the last bit. And again, you want to do this on a low speed so that you don't splatter all of the flour everywhere and make a mess. Again, I have no idea if that actually happens because I've never done it. So it's, just kind of sharing that as a friend told me that that's what happens. So, okay, so it's pretty much come together, but I'm again going to scrape the sides because the sides have lots of flour on it. And then I'm going to let it kind of mix around for another 15 seconds or so. This is a really thick dough. Batter, not dough. I get them confused sometimes. All right. Okay, so I'm just going to let that mix for another 15-20 seconds or so. Again, to incorporate the sides that were on the side of the flour that wasn't really mixed as well. Okay. Really good. I'm going to scrape my paddle so that I don't drip, and also that I can use all the batter in my pound cake. So we don't want to leave any batter left behind, right? No batter left behind. So this is heavy, by the way. I'll just add that this is a heavy bowl right now. So we've got nice thick batter, right? Okay. Now you want to take about half of that, since we're making 2 loaves. I'm going to put half of that in a bowl. Now, if you really want to get precise, get a scale. I'm sincerely just eyeballing it, so chances are one loaf is going to be a little bit different than the other. But I am pretty comfortable with how much is in each bowl. These are really heavy, no joke. Like, this is heavy. Okay, now the fun part. So you're going to add about, we're going to layer this into three cake layers with 2 strawberry jams in between, okay? If that makes sense. If not, hang on and I'll show you. Okay, so I want to put about a third of this. Again, we're just eyeballing here. And I'm just going to kind of put this in and spread it. It's going to be thin. It's going to be a thin, it's not that much. And then probably should have brought my offset spatula because that helps to spread thick batter. But you know what? I didn't, and I just have this, so we are going to make it work. Okay, now I'm going to take my strawberry sauce, jam, preserves, whatever you want to call it, and I'm going to put about a quarter of a cup so that you can kind of keep track of how much you have. So again, you can eyeball this, or you can fill it, whichever one you want. It's full. And then I'm just going to kind of put this in You don't have to worry too much about like making it smooth and all that, because we're actually going to kind of gently swirl once everything's poured in. Oh yeah, we're swirling. So you just kind of plop it in, and then you repeat. Kind of like when you like make lasagna, right? You do layers. All right, so another third-ish. I'm just gonna plop it in. And kind of spread it around. Doop, doop, doop. Doop, doop, doop. Doop, doop, doop. Yeah, this pound cake, like especially during strawberry season, like in the summer, it's awesome. It's really, I mean, you get some awesome strawberries. It's like perfect for the time of year. But you know what? I think we all need a little bit of that right now. So we're doing it ahead of time. So I'm going to, once again, just kind of fill my quarter cup. Right? And then I'm going to just kind of plop that around. Just going to put it in various parts of my loaf. And I will show you, but as I tip it, all right, it's hard to always see it, but just like that, okay? And then I'm going to take the rest of this one and I'm going to put it on top. We're going to spread it around. And then, if you've got like a skewer or toothpicks or a knife or even the handle of a spoon, what you want to do is get all the batter off the spatula first. You want to take, I've got a knife here, right? Got this. I'm just going to kind of gently swirl the batter so that what it's going to do, it's going to, you don't want to do too much because you kind of want to see those layers when you slice into your cake. But just kind of, you're basically just kind of spreading that around a little bit. You can see that. Okay? So then you repeat that with your other loaf. This is my parchment and me arguing earlier. So it's not as perfectly even because the particular width of the parchment paper is not perfectly symmetrical with this pan. But you know what? You gotta make things work the way they work. So I'm just gonna drop some in here. Oopsie, it's already fighting me. Okay. And then I'm going to spread it, but the nice thing about this parchment is now that I've got some weight under at the bottom, the parchment's going to finally start sitting where it's supposed to. And get some all over the paper. But we will get it in there. All right. You're going to take a quarter cup. Where did my quarter cup go? It's right here. Quarter cup. Fill it up. That rhymes. Quarter cup. Fill it up. Ooh, I'm going to have a little bit of extra, it looks like. And just plop it in all over. Okay. Take another third. Put it on top. So like I said, this is a little bit more labor intensive than like a basic pound cake, but it's so worth it. It's so good. It's so good. Okay. Spread it around. Spread it around. Spread it around. And then you want to put your last bit of strawberries around. Like I said, I did this one with a potato masher. Like I just kind of mashed it as they were cooking. So there's nice chunks of strawberry in here. So I kind of like texture when I in baked goods. So that kind of thing is really appealing to me. If you don't, then puree is a perfect alternative to that. Okay, I'm just going to put the last bit of this on top. And then I'm going to spread it around. And with that parchment, it definitely is a little less perfectly symmetrical, but once it gets in the oven, it's going to spread out anyway, so it'll be fine. And you know what? Even if it's not perfectly shaped, that makes it rustic. Okay, so then I'm going to take my knife again, right? Let's see if I can lift this up so you can see it. Take my knife. I'm just going to swirl the jam around. Not too much because I want to keep those layers of strawberry in there, but just enough so that it spreads it throughout each layer. I tried to find this earlier, glad I made it. Hey, Julie. Okay, so we're going to bake these at 325 for about an hour 10, hour 15, depending on your oven. You want to rotate it halfway through. They're going to be nice and golden brown, so don't get too nervous if you see them getting kind of brown. If you stick a toothpick or a knife in the middle and they're not done, then you just got to keep letting them bake. They're turning brown because there's so much sugar in this. Let's just be honest. Let's call it what it is. And egg and butter, because that helps promote browning. So don't get too nervous about that. And then you want to let it kind of cool in its pan for at least 10 minutes, and then you want to let it cool completely before you cut into it. But you know, if you can't do that and you just want to dive in, I do not judge. Perfectly okay. So I would love to see pictures of this, guys, if you guys are doing these. I want to see like how it's working and all that. So please send pictures. And I'm going to pop these in the oven now, and then I will post my picture of how they turned out, and I'll slice it so that you can see it. And looks like I got batter all over me, don't I? Yeah, that's part of it. So anyway, so tomorrow I'm going to be actually baking off a cake later today, because I'm going to be decorating a birthday cake, because it is somebody's birthday tomorrow. And I am going to show you how to decorate a cake, which I think is just kind of a fun video to do and learn a little bit more. So not even quite sure what kind of cake I'm going to bake yet. I have so many choices. I have to pick one. It's kind of weird. And then that's what is tomorrow, Wednesday. Thursday, scone day. So usually I do scones on Wednesday, but since it's my birthday on Wednesday, we're doing a birthday cake. And then Thursday, scone day. So we're doing lemon blueberry scones. You can have fresh or frozen blueberries, whatever you have. And I think I posted that recipe online already. And then Friday, I am thinking of doing cinnamon rolls, but I'm having a hard time finding yeast right now because apparently everybody's baking bread. So if I cannot find yeast, then I'm going to do something else, and I will post that tomorrow. I will let you know by tomorrow if I'm making cinnamon rolls, so that I can post the recipe, and then you can have all the ingredients that you need. But I used the last of my yeast last week when I made the pizza dough, so I was like, oh, no big deal, I'll go get yeast, because there's always a lot. Apparently not. So I've got to find some yeast. So if you know of any place that has yeast, give me a shout out, because I need some yeast in my life. I don't like not having yeast. I like to be able to make bread when I want. So anyway, all right, guys, I'm going to throw these in the oven, and I hope you enjoyed this one. Give me a shout out if you have any questions or all that. Please share this with anybody that you think would like some demos on things. I love to be able to kind of share this with people and kind of spread the word about what I do and all that fun stuff. So yeah, And I hope you guys have a great day. Stay healthy and sane. I'm not saying safe anymore. I think we're all safe. I think we just need to be sane now. So, and if you've got places where you have good weather, I hope you can go out and enjoy the fresh air a little bit and sit out on a patio and read a book or something and take some time for yourself. So, all right, guys, have a great day. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you tomorrow.